Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very quick covering of the key concepts of recovery. This will be a very brief overview of what I deem the quote to-dos of recovery, and I often propose this to people as the three-pillar model. So, what the three-pillar model really boils down to is a five-concept map that highlights our body's response to stress and then how best to support that response to avoid being stagnant. So to start off, we have our foundation here, which is what everything is built off. And it's really just the idea that the need to recover is facilitated by the ability to apply enough stress on a system to elicit a change. Dumbing that down a little, it just means that we need to have a hard enough training day that the body actually needs to recover. It actually needs time to rebuild tissues. So you actually have to do hard enough stuff to require recovery. This takes us to our first pillar, which is increasing blood flow. This is my A1 of recovery. It's very important for a number of reasons, but it really boils down to these four. Increasing blood flow is going to decrease inflammation in an area caused by exercise. It's going to decrease muscle soreness in the long term. It is going to deliver essential nutrients and oxygen to tissues, and then on the backside of that, it's going to remove waste products from the tissues, which will help play into that decreased muscle soreness. And then it'll increase repair priority. Happens by increasing the number of cytokines found within an area or a tissue. These are just the body's markers that, hey, there's damage here, and we need to start rebuilding whatever is damaged. So this brings us to our second pillar, which is replenish storages. This builds directly off of the first pillar where we talked about blood flow kind of starting that healing process. The second pillar is going to be everything we need to actually make that rebuilding of tissue happen. So that starts with restoring glycogen stores used for energy during exercise. Glucose is going to be our main form of energy really during any sort of exercise. So it's really important that following exercise, we rebuild those storages so we have enough energy to A, kickstart this healing process, and then B, get through the rest of our day without tapping into stores that we will then need to recover later. Second here is to intake the necessary vitamins and proteins for tissue repair. Your proteins and your amino acids are really going to do the heavy lifting of actually going in and filling in the damages in the tissues, whether that be muscle, tendon, ligament. So it's really important that we're intaking that in enough quantity to allow that healing to happen fully. And then on the vitamin side, those are going to be your vitamins B6, vitamin C, and vitamin B12. Those are kind of your main three for helping that absorption of protein and helping kind of route those amino acids to the tissues that need to be restored. And then the last one here is going to be rehydrate with electrolytes, sodium, potassium, magnesium, calcium. Once again, your big four there. That's going to be really important to A, just rehydrate in general and get liquids back into your body, but B, also put those salts that you might have lost back into your body. That's going to help store that water a little bit more, and then will also kind of help with the absorption of some of those other macronutrients as well. And then finally, our third pillar, which is just limit workload increases. So this is just kind of talking in terms of we've already had our big day, our main training stimuluses. Now it's kind of time to just kick back and lay low and just let the body do its thing. My main four things here are low impact, low mechanical stress, something I call a high chill, which is really just relaxing, feet up on the couch kind of deal, and then sleep is going to be our next big one. Kind of going back down the list here, we want low impact. We don't want to be doing things that are going to be shocking the body and keeping it in a sympathetic state. We want to adjust into a parasympathetic state. So once again, we want to kind of go into that rest and digest mode where we're moving away from those training stimuluses. Working along those same lines, low mechanical stress, we want to limit the amount of excess damage we're causing to these tissues. We've had our main stimuluses already. Now it's time to take a step back and let those start replenishing. High chill kind of speaks for itself. Put something on the TV, kick your feet up, just let the body kind of do absolutely nothing. That'll help start kickstarting that process of recovery. And then probably the most important one of all of these is sleep, making sure we're getting a plethora of sleep. 8 hours, that's what people say. I don't really think that 100% cuts it. I always tell people to shoot for 10 hours. You'll probably land around 9 there. And at least then you're making sure, if anything, you're getting more sleep than you need, because that's much better than getting less sleep. And then this takes us to the top of our concept map here, the roof, if you will, which is what we're creating is an anti-fragile system that responds efficiently to stress, and then it super compensates. That's the idea that we're getting better from the stress that we're applying on our body rather than just remaining the same. We want to apply this stress so that when we create our adaptations, we are left better off and we can respond to those stresses better the next time they come around. So finally, zooming out here and looking at these concepts in their most general form, we see this cyclical pattern where we apply stress to a system, we break down tissues, we work really hard to need to recover. During that recovery process, we give the body the necessary things it needs to recover. We replenish storages, we increase blood flow and allow those nutrients to get to the tissues that have been damaged. And then lastly, we provide the body enough time to recover through rest and sleep. Hopefully, if we do that well enough, we get to an adaptation where our body has responded to that stress. Hopefully, it super compensates and we're left better than when we started. And then using this last little piece of this cycle here, modernization, we use these newfound abilities, these newfound skills to feed back into our training, back into our stress, and hopefully complete the tasks A, more efficiently, or B, be able to continue progressing that stress. So in terms of a strength and conditioning program, this is going to be adding weight to the bar from week to week on a squat or a bench press or whatever we're doing. But if we look at this from a more sport-specific lens, it's going to be increasing your speed. So during a game, we have to work at a lower percentage of our max to be competitive, or decreasing the amount of energy it takes to complete a race, just making us generally more efficient and able to compete in our sport more easily.